Today on the show, is a porn star's lawyer that wants to fistfight Donald Trump's son the best hope for the Democrats in 2020?
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, I got to tell you, I would not be surprised if it was Michael Avenatti in 2020. I really wouldn't. Michael Avenatti, I think, might be, by the time 2020 rolls around, the most obvious choice for a Democratic presidential nominee. Someone who could potentially win. Why? Because we live in the year 2018 and these are genuinely strange times. There's a lot of people that feel as though Donald Trump's behaviors on a regular basis are beneath the office of president. But look where he is. He won. His behaviors during the presidential debates were often viewed as being beneath the station of the president. But he won. And, well, Michael Avenatti seems to be a guy who's able to play that game and willing to sink to the level, I suppose you would call it, of a Donald Trump in those situations. And we saw what happened when people tried to play Donald Trump's game that were not equipped to do so. I think the most obvious example of this being little Marco Rubio. Yeah, he tried to get in and he was swinging for his life, trying to stay alive for just another 10 minutes in the debates. And, well, he made that crack about Donald Trump's hands and the size of them and implied that Donald Trump was not exactly packing south of the equator. And it was, like I said, an attempt to play Donald Trump's game. And, well, Marco Rubio is just not equipped to do that. Michael Avenatti might be. And look, I'll give you a perfect example. In the past, if you heard that someone had said they wanted to fist fight the president's son, you would have said this person is an unhinged lunatic. This makes no sense. They will have no political career moving forward. In fact, they're a lawyer. Oh, gosh. Well, looks like the best part of their legal practice is over and done with as well. But like I said, these are strange times. We live in the year 2018. Michael Avenatti challenged Donald Trump Jr. to a fight. And I honestly think that this is part of his continuing move toward a Democratic nomination for presidency in the year 2020. See, what happened was this. I don't know if you caught it or not, but it's, well, a beautiful little microcosm of the strange place we've landed in this day and age. Donald Trump Jr. tried to make a joke linking Anthony Weiner, disgraced former Democratic politician Anthony Weiner, to attorney Michael Avenatti, a porn star's lawyer. And a real thorn in the side of Donald Trump's administration. And the Twitter feud went something like this. Donald Trump Jr. posted a link to an article saying that Anthony Weiner, disgraced Democratic ex-Congressman Anthony Weiner, who went by the name Carlos Danger online when he was sexting underage girls in the most despicable, sick way possible, may soon be released from his 21-month prison sentence due to good behavior. But by the way, why are we letting this guy out early? He did something truly reprehensible. He did something that I think should be would probably be best treated with something like, chemical castration. He was jailed for sexting an underage girl. Absolutely revolting. And, well, to me, is basically child abuse and molestation. And just unthinkable to me that he's getting out early for good behavior. But that's neither here nor there. The interesting bit was that Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out this article and said, who else is excited about Avenatti Weiner 2020? It's going to be Carlos Dangerous. And by the way, when people say he tried to make a joke, try is the operative word. Donald Trump Jr., not clever, not funny. And has access to the best comedy writers on the face of the planet, given the millions of dollars that he's got. He could hire somebody to punch that up significantly, but he did not. He went with something that comedically fell flat. And it was met by a response from Michael Avenatti that, well, suggested perhaps a fight would be the best way to solve this sort of situation. He said, Biff, see that's actually kind of funny. He said, Biff, if I were you, the last thing I would be doing is referencing other people getting out of federal prison, because after you are indicted, you will likely be passing them on your way in. By the way, they don't have silver spoons or gold toilets in the joint, but buckle up, Buttercup. And then later, for good measure, Avenatti challenged both the president and his son to an MMA fight for charity. Like I said, I think there's a very real possibility that this man will be in serious contention for the Democratic nominee for president. Because there hasn't been anyone able to play Donald Trump's game the way Donald Trump can. Remember when Marco Rubio tried to do that? He made the crack about Donald Trump's hands. Donald Trump was just decimating the competition in the presidential debates in the run-up to the election, and he was making short work of the other potential Republican candidates for president. And he was doing it by playing a game the way he wanted to play it. He leveled, then lowered the playing field. And he took cheap pot shots in a way that would make everybody else look absolutely disgraceful, but people sort of found it amusing coming from him. And Marco Rubio was in there doing his very best to try and stay alive for the next 10 minutes so he could just possibly potentially have a shot at the nomination. So what did he do? He broke out that, hey, I shook Donald's hand thing, and his hands are small. And you know what they say about guys with small hands. That was his attempt. And it was a brave and sensible attempt. I mean, he was going to go down, and anyway, he was on his way out anyway, so why not go down swinging? So he did. And Donald Trump made short work of Marco Rubio. And managed to turn the whole situation around on him, giving him the nickname Little Marco Rubio, and saying that his situation south of the equator was just fine. Something that Stormy Daniels would deny a little later on in the proceedings. However, the Democrats don't really have someone who can play at that level. They don't really have someone who speaks Trump. But Michael Avenatti, well, he could do that, and he's making moves. So generally speaking, you would say that if somebody threatened someone with physical violence and challenged them to a fight, they were dead in the water, politically speaking. But this could be a very real thing. This could be a very real case of Avenatti making a case for his nomination in 2020.
Real radio. 104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So yeah, Michael Avenatti is basically... What's Michael Avenatti doing? Michael Avenatti is basically taking a page out of the book of rappers and prison inmates who decide that the best way to elevate their profile is to go after the biggest person in the room. Did you know who Machine Gun Kelly was a little while ago? I mean, chances are if you in any way, shape, or form like rap music, you do. But Machine Gun Kelly became a household name when he got involved in a rap beef with Eminem. Machine Gun Kelly did what rappers always do in these situations, go after the biggest star on the face of the planet and use the notoriety that they gain, if only temporarily, to boost their own career. It's a common tactic in rap music and in the prison yard, and it's exactly what Michael Avenatti did with the Donald Trump situation. He has been going after Donald Trump in the most salacious way possible, first and foremost being the lawyer that represented Stormy Daniels, still does represent Stormy Daniels. And then also, well, he said that he had someone that was willing to testify with regard to Kavanaugh. Remember that whole circus? He was a late addition to it, but he managed to make his way into it and make a bit of an impression and continually be a thorn in Donald Trump's side. And now, well, representing porn stars and other people that are going to go after Donald Trump's Supreme Court pick, not enough for him. He is, and by the way, if it sounds like I am in any way, shape, or form, in any way, shape, or form chastising Michael Avenatti over his actions. I'm not. They seem to be working. And quite frankly, I'm just head scratching and maybe chastising the place that we've arrived at in society where this sort of thing works and gets you ahead, because it's so starkly different from anything that has ever been viewed as making sense in the past. So like I said, he represented Stormy Daniels, the porn star that had an affair allegedly with Donald Trump, which he allegedly paid her to cover up. Then he represented someone who was willing to throw a wrench in the works for Donald Trump's Supreme Court pick, Kavanaugh. And, well, now he has challenged Donald Trump and Donald Trump's son to a physical fight. Donald Trump Jr. has been aware that he's been a thorn in his pop's side, so he decided to go after him on Twitter. Which, well, look, Donald Trump Jr., not especially artful with his tweet in this particular case. And Michael Avenatti, after Trump Jr. said that he was excited about an Avenatti-Anthony Weiner 2020 presidential run, and that it would be Carlos Dangerous, Michael Avenatti said, Biff, and that does amuse me. Biff, if I were you, the last thing I would be doing is referencing other people getting out of federal prison, because after you are indicted, you'll likely be passing them on your way. By the way, you'll likely be passing them on your way. And by the way, they don't have silver spoons or gold toilets in the joint. Buckle up, Buttercup. And, well, he then went on to say that he proposed a 3-round mixed martial arts fight with Donald Trump Jr. for charity. No joke whatsoever. And he said, this would be for 2 causes. I'm in. My portion of the proceeds from the fight would be split 50% to rebuilding Puerto Rico and 50% to Rain. Just waiting on Biff to confirm. So there you have it. To summarize, Michael Avenatti and Donald Trump Jr. have been at each other's throats on Twitter since Monday. While at lunch with an NBC News reporter, Avenatti challenged Trump to a mixed martial arts charity fight. Avenatti has confirmed the offer, saying he wanted any money raised from this fight to go toward rebuilding Puerto Rico and Rain, the sexual assault charity. And, well, on Monday, when Trump joked that Avenatti would be running for president in 2020 with the incarcerated politician Anthony Weiner, Avenatti replied that Trump would be indicted soon and to buckle up, Buttercup, because he'd be passing Weiner in jail. Politics in the year 2018. Now, here's the thing. If you think this is just me postulating and theorizing about Avenatti being the golden child of the Democratic Party in the year 2020, there's more to it than that. Michael Avenatti got together. By all accounts, he was holding court with a dozen or so Democratic strategists at the, where was it? He got together at the Palm. Very nice. He got together with a bunch of Democratic strategists at the Palm to see and be seen at basically Washington's most prominent power lunch spot. This is where people go when they want people to know that they're up to something. And, well, all these really super prominent Democratic strategists got together with Michael Avenatti at this very public place in Washington where people do things publicly when they want to float rumors and they want to start the ball rolling on things like a presidential bid. And basically, Avenatti has painted himself as a Democrat, one of the few Democrats, maybe the only Democrat, who knows how to go toe-to-toe and head-to-head with Donald Trump and play at his level in the way that Marco Rubio so stunningly failed to do. And the way that everybody else who has, built a political career on things like saying the right stuff and doing the right things and not being completely unhinged and unpredictable, those folks can't do it. Avenatti can, and it's because we've never heard of him before. It's because if you're the commoner garden American, you had no idea who Avenatti was until you found out that he was the lawyer for Stormy Daniels. Lawyer for a porn star. Looks like the Democrats' best hope in the year 2020. And he's super freaking confident. That's how he presents himself. And if you can think of anybody else that can play the game on Trump's level that the Democrats have got. And by the way, I'm removing myself from any kind of position of loyalty to anyone in this situation. Just because it's one of those moments where I personally have to sit back and go, I am here for the show, because this is freaking ridiculous. Popcorn is popped. Trump, Avenatti. Well, you know who would be all in favor of this, right? The media. Can you imagine how good this would be for everyone from Fox to CNN? Trump, Avenatti, it'd be tabloid headline after tabloid headline, cashing in on division after cashing in on division over and over again. The news media in America, and probably all over the rest of the world, would experience advertising revenue dollars like never, ever before in the history of news media. And when the media has a chance to make some cash off of something, they're going to do everything they can to enforce the agenda. So you're going to see an awful lot, dollars to donuts, you're going to see an awful lot on Fox, on MSNBC, on CNN. Everywhere someone editorializes and makes a buck off of it, you're going to see plenty of people willing this to happen. And they're going to highlight all the most ridiculous aspects of Avenatti and Trump. It's starting now. It's the year 2018. And they're going to milk this for every penny it's worth. So you heard it here first. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm guessing this might be one of the first times you've heard this as a realistic proposition. I mean, I think a lot of people said, Avenatti, he's talking about being president. No. I think this might be a thing. I think him taking a run at the Democratic nomination will be a thing. And he might even secure it. So there you go. Meanwhile, you know who loses when we sink to this level? If you're doing anything more than I am, if you're taking any of this seriously, if you're doing anything other than popping popcorn and going, okay, I guess I'm going to watch some of this show, well, then you're hurting America. Media makes a ton of money off of this. The Putins and Kim Jongs of this world, our enemies, gain leverage because of this. What we need to be concentrating on is not adding fuel to the fire of people taking Avenatti and Trump seriously. What we need to be doing is concentrating on being the best version of ourselves that we can be. And being a friend to as many people as we can be, regardless of how they voted or how they're planning on voting. Best thing we can do, treat this for what it is. A ridiculous show that we're probably going to watch, but in no way, shape, or form should we let it stop us being the best version of ourselves, affect how we go through our lives, and stop us from being a friend to all.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
Do I think that Avenatti is responsible for Kavanaugh being up in the game with the Supreme Court? I got a question from Julie, who listens in Houston on 950 AM KPRC. And you know, this is what got me thinking about the whole Avenatti thing. I forgot to bring it up at the beginning of the show. Only because, well, the fact that Avenatti challenged Donald Trump Jr. to a fight today sort of took precedence in the marketplace of ridiculous ideas that has become our political process in the year 2018. But I got a very thoughtful email from Julie, who listens on 950 AM KPRC, saying, AD, do you think that Kavanaugh is part of the Supreme Court now because of Avenatti and his involvement in the confirmation hearings? That's an interesting one, and we'll get into it in just a little bit. Right now, though, I wanted to take a breather from Avenatti and politics in general and talk about your first job. What was your first job? I hope that your first job was a crappy job. I hope it was uncomfortable. I hope you had to stand for long hours. I hope it was murder on your young back at the time. I hope that it was underpaid and you were overworked. Why? Well, because I had several of those jobs when I was a teenager, like 14, 15, 16 years old. And they taught me something very, very interesting. I would look around me at a lot of the people that were significantly older than me that were doing those jobs and go, I don't want to be that. And if they're happy, that's great. But I know that if I'm doing this when I'm their age, specifically, it was washing dishes at a diner. That was, I think my first real job was washing dishes at a diner. I was like 14, 15 years old, and I did not want to do that into my adulthood. That was not a thing that was going to sit with me. And I saw people there, and I saw that they were older than me. I saw they were doing jobs similar to this one for a very, very long time. And the fact that the work was underpaid, the fact that it left me with pain in my feet and my back, and I burned my hands every single day on the incredibly hot water that we used to wash dishes at this diner was, enough for me. I was like, okay, I got to figure out plans B, C, D, and E, study hard, get into college, and figure something out that doesn't involve this. There's something truly formative about the crappy job, and there's real value in getting one of those when you're a kid, I think, anyways. As it turns out, one of my all-time favorite comics had a crappy job when he was first growing up. And, well, if you've ever heard Brian Regan talk about it in the past, you know that it kind of spurred him on to make something a bit more of himself. But he also did say that at his first job when he was 14 years old, like me, washing dishes, he had the coolest boss in the world.
My first job ever was a dishwasher at the International House of Pancakes. It's a true story. I was like 14 years old. After 3 months, the owner took me aside and said, I'm promoting you today to busboy. And he said to me, please don't talk to any of the customers. He was adamant. He said, I've heard the kind of things your brain comes up with. Please, just let these people enjoy their pancakes. So I said, okay. I bussed my very first table. I was walking back to the dish room, and I passed a woman sitting by herself eating a salad. It was lunchtime. And as I was walking by, she said, excuse me, well, what am I supposed to do now? I'm not allowed to talk to anybody! I thought, she's stopping me. I better stop, So I put my tray down on another table, and I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, there is a hair in this salad. So I thought I'd be funny. And I said, well, there are no prizes or anything. Go get the owner. So now I had to go get the owner, who just 5 minutes ago told me not to talk to anybody. And I had to say, I was just talking to this woman, and she's kind of upset, and she wants to talk to you. He's looking at me like, how is this even humanly possible? We walk out to her table, and she says, I just told this young man that there was a hair in my salad, and he told me that there are no prizes or anything. So he looks at me, and he looks at her, and he said, he's right, there are no prizes or anything.
Like I said, coolest boss in the world. So do I think that Avenatti is responsible for Kavanaugh being up in the game at the Supreme Court? Well, I got a very thoughtful email that started me really thinking about Avenatti from a listener called Julie, who listens on 950 AM KPRC in Houston, asking exactly that question. Now, you might recall that Avenatti did his very best to insert himself into the proceedings. And he did so in, well, a very, very sort of aggressive manner. And he did so in a manner that, well, if you can't back it up, you're in some serious hot water, or at least you should be. See, there were these bombshell allegations. Avenatti was representing Julie Swetnick, who had these, like I said, bombshell allegations of gang rape leveled at Brett Kavanaugh. Now, if you saw the interview that she did. I think it was for NBC. There was so much of it that couldn't be verified, that was questionable, that was dubious. It made you wonder why NBC would have any part of it. Just because, there wasn't a ton there that people could really latch onto as far as significant proof of Kavanaugh's guilt. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that Swetnick was wrong to come forward the way she did. But what happened, because women have to be able to come forward in these situations. Everyone has to be able to come forward in these situations, but specifically women who have been targeted and marginalized in these situations since the dawn of time must feel free to level this sort of accusation at people that have done this sort of thing to them. But there were these bombshell allegations of gang rape leveled at Brett Kavanaugh by Julie Swetnick. She was sure, but she wasn't sure. It was a little tough to follow. But the thing that made the allegations as compelling as they were was the fact that Avenatti said there was not necessarily smoking guns in the way of proof, but that there was going to be verifiable corroboration, that these claims of gang rape from a very long time ago were going to be backed up by something that the other cases did not have, and that was sort of verifiable corroboration. People that could say, yes, that absolutely did happen. I saw it with my own two eyes. I know it went down. This is enough. This is enough to remove any shadow of doubt from the Kavanaugh situation. And, well, Avenatti screamed and yelled and got a lot of attention with his client and promised what was, like I said, essentially a smoking gun, and then failed to deliver. Did not have the corroboration necessary to back up these claims. And there's a lot of people that say, hey, we were doing just fine without Avenatti inserting himself into the situation. A lot of people on the left that were anti-Kavanaugh saying we were doing just fine. We were making real progress without Avenatti inserting himself into the situation. And then he made the whole process look shambolic and added all sorts of credibility to Kavanaugh by having something that he wasn't able to back up. So there are many people that feel like Avenatti is political poison because he wasn't able to deliver. He essentially made something up, it seemed, saying that I've got this in my back pocket ready to go, and it's a game changer. It's a game closer. It's a game ender. And then, well, where was it? Absolutely nowhere. And Michael Avenatti is making no secret of the fact that he fancies himself president of these United States of America, or at least the Democratic nominee, and a guy who's going to cruise into a book deal because of all this. I don't know. I do know. We don't know what his end game is. I think it's publicity. But then I think Donald Trump's end game was publicity, and that turned into a presidency. So I think now the Avenattis of this world are seeing it like, I'm going to get a lot of attention. I'm going to make a lot of money off of this. And never know, might end up being president of these United States of America. He said, we cannot prevail against Donald Trump and his henchmen by being loving, gentle, and kind. Trump is a thug with a singular focus on winning at all costs. We are in a fight for the very survival of this republic and what made it America. Join me at thefightpack.org. Yeah, that's basically him raising money for a potential presidential bid. So there you have it. But yes, to answer your question, Julie, there are a lot of people that think he was a major wrench in the works by not being able to back up his claims when it came to the Kavanaugh hearings.
You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again in the delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD, and can't nobody rock nobody better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD, and can't nobody rock nobody better than me.
So, we don't have a ton of time left today, but if we can, I wanted to talk about the man who is selling his girlfriend on eBay and the fact that Kanye West is meeting with Donald Trump at the White House tomorrow. First, though, let's take a look at what is going on in the news. Steve Perry, formerly of Journey, has a new album out, and well, because of this, he's doing some press that he hasn't done in a very long time. Steve Perry of Journey is talking about quitting Journey. He said because he fell out of love with their music. Yeah, Steve Perry says he quit Journey because he fell out of love with their music. And you know what? Every time I see a drunken bachelorette party shriek "Don't Stop Believin'" at a karaoke bar, so do I. Actually, you know what was apparently the nail in the coffin for the relationship between Steve Perry and the rest of Journey was... Look, the relationship between Steve Perry and Neil Schon, their guitar player, was famously contentious, going all the way back to, I think, when he first joined the band. But Steve Perry had that one hit, "Oh Sherry," the solo record that he made. And Neil Schon went, sounds an awful lot like a Journey record. Like, if I was going to go do a solo record, I would go do something that I wasn't doing or couldn't do in Journey. You basically traded in on the fact that you're the voice of Journey and... gave up a hit song to your solo record when in fact it should have been on the next Journey album, Not Cool Dude, Not Cool. And apparently the relationship never ever recovered from that. So yeah, there you go. We'll try and talk about this in a little bit more depth later on in the show, but Kanye West is meeting with President Trump at the White House tomorrow. Yeah, Kanye West is meeting with President Trump at the White House tomorrow. Topics will include subjects like jobs, gang violence, and I believe how much they think Taylor Swift sucks. No word yet on whether or not the visit will include other top outside Trump advisors like Kid Rock or Ted Nugent. Bill and Hillary Clinton are going on a speaking tour together. Did you see this? Yeah, Bill and Hillary Clinton are going on tour together. Really? Do we need that? Is it just me, or are we all sick of these 90s retro acts hitting the road? I mean, it was kind of fun and cool when Sugar Ray and the guys in Everclear did it this past summer just gone by, but come on. Bill and Hillary Clinton speaking tour. Bill must be like, "Oh man, you want to come on this one? I don't think that's necessary. You can go on your own speaking tour. What about a very long one, far, far away? Oh, no, you're going to stick with me? You're going to be able to see me at all times. We'll be sharing hotel rooms. All right, then." Anthony Weiner, as we discussed earlier in the show, Anthony Weiner is getting an early release from prison. Why this is happening is beyond me. He is guilty of something that I think is absolutely filthy, revolting, and disgusting. He knowingly sexted an underage girl. He basically... I don't know if anything that he did could be labeled as child pornography, but the fact that this guy's getting out early for good behavior says to me that, well, whoever's making the decision doesn't really have the welfare of children at heart. Absolutely unspeakable and unconscionable that this guy is getting out of jail early. Anthony Weiner is getting an early release from prison for good behavior. Sidebar, when I first heard the headlines, "Weiner free again," I was like, haven't you learned your lesson yet, Louis C.K.? Downtown Los Angeles has been hit by an outbreak of flea-borne typhus. Yeah, downtown Los Angeles has been hit by an outbreak of something called flea-borne typhus. I didn't know flea-borne typhus existed until I saw the news, but by the way, if I ever become a blues guitar player, I think I found my stage name. If you thought that Americans were getting healthier, if you thought that we were maybe getting a little bit more CrossFitty, if you were of the impression that we paid closer attention to the foods that were good and or bad for us and we were going to be getting healthier from here on in, apparently not so much. According to a new study, 2 out of every 3 Americans, adults, 2 out of every 3 American adults eat fast food every single day. Yeah, 2 out of every 3 adults eats fast food every single day. Or, as my financial advisor put it, invest in Charmin and antacids, and ooh, the soothing, flushable white market is looking really good. Do you know that we, as a species, are losing the ability to speak? Yeah, we as a species are losing the ability to speak. And we know this because, well, look, there's 7,000 languages that are spoken on Earth. But they are rapidly becoming extinct, going the way of the dodo. Apparently, 1 out of the world's 7,000 languages dies every couple of months. Yeah, every couple of months, a language goes away. People just stop speaking it. Why? Well, we're not entirely sure, but apparently scientists plan to address it at a summit that's been scheduled for smiley face, rocket ship building, top hat, arrow. All right, then. Let's talk for a moment about this guy who is selling his girlfriend on eBay as a joke. Apparently, the bidding hit $119,000. So, yeah, the deal is this. There's such a fine line. There's such a fine line between trying to make a joke and accidentally getting into the human trafficking trade, apparently. There's this guy in London. His name is Dale Leakes, and over the weekend, he and his girlfriend, Kelly Greaves, were at a shop buying horse riding accessories, and she used a horsewhip to hit him on the butt. The English, am I right? So get this. His revenge, he pulled his own prank. He listed her as being for sale on eBay. Now, obviously, you can't sell a person on eBay. The posting was obviously a joke, and he described her like a used car with lines like, quote, starts okay, but after a while, there's a constant whining noise I can't seem to stop. And, quote, bodywork is fairly tidy, but close up shows signs of wear. Well, somehow, he accidentally sparked a bidding war, and the price for Kelly got up to $119,000 before eBay pulled the ad 24 hours later. They said it broke their obvious policy against selling human body parts or remains. Dale and Kelly say there is not any hard feelings between them after the post, but Kelly says she might be looking to pull another prank for her revenge. We'll wait and see how this all plays out. Another thing we will be eagerly anticipating, another thing we'll be interested to have a look at so we can see how it plays out, is the high-level power meeting that President Trump is taking with a world leader tomorrow. It should be interesting. Kanye West is going to have lunch with President Trump and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, at the White House tomorrow. Let me just say that again. Kanye West will have lunch with President Trump and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, at the White House tomorrow. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about it.
Yeah, I believe Kanye West is coming to the White House. He's been a terrific guy. You know, he loves what we're doing for African-American jobs, for so many different things. Median income, as you see, at an all-time high. Poverty level at the best rate, meaning the lowest rate so far. And Kanye is a smart guy, and he sees that. And also coming with him, he said, you mind if I bring Jim Brown, Big Jim Brown? I call him Unstoppable Jim Brown. And he's been a friend of mine. He's been really with us because he gets it. He really gets it. He sees that African American, and by the way, Hispanic and Asian, have never done better in this country.
By the way, do you remember when Donald Trump was running for president, he said there's never been a worse time to be a black man in America? Yeah. He was obviously the solution to this situation. And, well, now he's been president for a little bit, and apparently we're looking at a radically different situation. Now, Donald Trump says being black is fantastic. It's never been better to be black in America since and when he became president. But it's tough being a white guy. He said there's lots of scared white men in America. Boy, these things move quickly. But yeah, anyways, Kanye West and President Trump are meeting tomorrow, and believe it or not, they plan to talk about more than just Kanye West and President Trump and how great they are. Kanye wants to talk about increasing the number of manufacturing jobs in his native Chicago, as well as more job opportunities for former convicts. Kushner has been working on overhauling the criminal justice system, and he was actually present during Trump's meeting with Kim Kardashian, in which she convinced the president to commute the life sentence of Alice Johnson. We live in interesting times, my friend. Thanks for sharing them with me.